Hi, I'm Rhonda Crimes. I'm a life and leadership coach supporting everyday people just like you to reflect and rework your everyday stories so you can step into the everyday leadership of your families and communities and create a compelling, meaningful and fruitful life every day. And today, let's talk about the Amygdala Hijack Wars. Now, this sounds like it came out of the mind of George Lucas or JJ Abrams to me. But these wars have actually been going on way, way longer than even the Star Wars saga timeline. Have you ever been in a situation where you're driving home after a really long day out with the kids? Everyone is tired, and then suddenly Cherub 1 decides to look at Cherub 2, and that releases a rapid fire toing and froing of, "Stop looking at me! I'm not looking at you!" Or maybe something like this has never happened to you. Yeah, I bet. Now, ordinarily, you would just call back over your shoulder from the front and just say nicely, "Hey guys, pipe down and leave each other alone." Or maybe in my case, "If you lot don't shut up, I'm not going to give you the treat after dinner tonight." Or something along those lines. Oh yeah, and I know if it was me, there would definitely be a swear word or four thrown in for impact. But instead of this, you instantly see red. You pull the car over and you yank the back door open and you yell at the kids that you're going to throw them out of the car right here and right now, with many swear words and frothing of the mouth. Then, when the rage has passed and you're once again back in the driver's seat, the children are still looking too scared to say boo to a goose, you realise you maybe overdid it. Maybe you could have handled that better. Yeah, you regret that episode. Who has ever reacted quite disproportionately like that before? Or is that just me and my family? Have you ever wondered why you sometimes trip into these intense, agitated frenzies? Well, my friend, it's because there has been an amygdala hijacking. You say, what? Well, according to the Wikipedia definition, an amygdala hijack exhibits three signs. There is a strong emotional reaction. It's a sudden onset, and the post-episode realization that the reaction was totally inappropriate. So now, the amygdala is sometimes referred to as our animal brain, and it was the first bit of our brains to really form at the top of the spinal column, and it's the trigger point for our fight, flight, or freeze response. It's also called our feeling or emotional brain. So going way back in time, when this first bit was developed, it was really useful to kick us into instant reactivity to threat, like coming upon a man-eating cave lion. We needed to be able to react and put as much distance between us and that lion as quickly as possible. Now, these days, there are not too many man-eating cave lions roaming about anymore. But our animal brain relates to modern stress in the same way, like kids arguing in the back seat, like drivers cutting us off in traffic, like heightened emotions of fear, anger, excitement, love, and hate. And once this trigger has been squeezed, cortisol and adrenaline are flooded into our body. More noticeable effects are an increased heart rate. Our mouth goes dry and our pupils dilate. Our neck and shoulder muscles tense. Our hearts beat faster. We sweat more. Our breathing is fast and shallow. Then hidden effects inside our bodies are things like blood is diverted away from our organs into our limbs. Our blood pressure rises. The liver releases glucose for energy. digestion slows down or is completely stopped, and our sphincters close. But Daniel Goleman, who coined the phrase the amygdala hijack in his book Emotional Intelligence, goes on to explain that there are some shifts in how our mind functions too. Our attention tends to fixate on what is bothering us. So we don't have the bandwidth left to pay attention to what is a most effective response. Then, as if that isn't enough, our memory shifts its hierarchy so that what is most relevant to us in that moment is the perceived threat. And that's what comes to mind, and that's most readily available to us. So what is deemed irrelevant is harder to bring to mind. We also fall into our overlearned responses from childhood. And let's face it, these are rarely elegant role models for us to use as an adult, which makes it really hard to do the right thing and can in fact lead us completely astray. Effectively, it hijacks our thinking brain. So there's some really famous amygdala hijacks among the rich and famous. So one of them I'm sure you all know about is Bill Clinton's inappropriate dealings with Monica Lewinsky that got him impeached in 1998. Mike Tyson in 1993 bit his opponent's ear off in the ring, which cost him $3 million and his boxing license. And then more recently, Serena Williams was completely put off her game by the referee, and she lost the 2018 Women's US Open. So what can you do? It's really important to widen the gap between the stimulus and the response. And implementing these 3 steps when you are in a heightened state can talk that hijacker down. Number 1, recognize the trigger has been squeezed by the physical effects. Awareness leads to choice. Then number 2, deep breathe for 90 seconds, because that's how long it takes for the rush of those survival hormones to flush out of our system. Then number 3, run a mental rehearsal if you recognize this trigger is a repeat offender. If you know you get triggered, practice a different response in simulated environments. So instead of going to old patterning, you're introducing some new patterning that you can rely on. To sum up, it's really important to understand that the impulses that rise when we're under stress, and whether it's perceived or actual stress, particularly if it's acute enough to get hijacked, to know it's not going to end well without intervention and awareness. The opposite of amygdala hijack is emotional intelligence, and we will talk about that more at another time. So if your now is not the picture you've painted for yourself, and you'd like any help on this discovery path, or maybe something completely different that you intuitively know or feel isn't letting your true colours shine through, then please do get in touch with me. You can do it really easily. Just leave a comment, send me a private message, drop me an email, or click onto my Calendly site booking using the link I've provided, and you can set up an obligation-free curiosity call to see if we're a good fit for each other. Much love until next time.